how far-reaching is this, and how many aspects of it have we yet to really, and by we, I mean these universities, get our arms around? I mean, the word that has always come to mind for me with college athletics is control. And, forget coaches imposing social media or outright media bans on players. You're now affecting their livelihood. I mean, imagine they've avoided the scenario of certain states and therefore certain schools having a recruiting advantage, just across the board with the presence or lack of name, image, and likeness opportunities. But now, since everybody's just kind of doing it their own way, imagine players entering into, and maybe you touched on this already, if you have, I'm sorry, but imagine players entering into transfer portals just based on name, image, and likeness opportunities. I mean, they're not going to be. This is first of all, let me just say this. This is the bare minimum that can be done for college athletes. I mean, there's still a pie that they're not getting access to.
Correct.
Which is the revenue pie, the television, pie, the big money, the billions with a B. But the millions that they can now make off of their name, image, and likeness, that's just bare minimum, long overdue, the least that they can do.
Well,
the amount of chaos that this is going to cause, and chaos in a good way. I'm an agent of chaos.
Right.
The amount of chaos that this is going to bring forth to the NCAA and these institutions' comfortable situation that they've been having for decades, I don't even think we fully grasp just how far-reaching this is going to be.
I agree with you, Michael, and I have no problem with a player entering a transfer portal because he thinks his name, image, and likeness may be somewhere else. It's in the same way that I asked Daryl Morey years ago when he was still with the Rockets, so a couple of years ago, when I'm like, so aren't you concerned that a star player in the NBA is going to approach one of your star players and say, how about you leave where you're the Rockets and join me somewhere else and we form a super team? And his answer was no. Like, that he's not going to see, he wouldn't want a tampering charge to be levied against another player for approaching one of his other players. He said, no, I'm not concerned about it because I'm going to create such an environment that my guy's never going to think of leaving. And that's what will have to be in the mind's eye and part of the plan of a college program, sports program.
Think about how many
that's simple.
Corporations or brands. This is so exciting. I mean, from a player's perspective or an athlete's perspective, but a worker. Think about how many brands or corporations can now just circumvent the university or the athletic department, where otherwise they may have to do some kind of a endorsement deal with the university in general, and they could just say, "Oh no, I'll just instead of doing a deal with Duke, I'll just deal with Zion Williamson." For example, at the time, he came in with a incredible social media following before he ever set foot on campus. I'm super excited to see where this goes. And there are just so many different tentacles, like the one you pointed out. I mean, on a professional level, like that is a huge advantage for agents.
Oh yeah,
to be able to now have a body of work to refer to. So fine. We don't have it in writing that I have to be your contract agent when you go to the NFL. Do we need it in writing? If I do a good job,
exactly, and your family's comfortable with me, and I'm comfortable. And for anybody who says, well, now this opens the door for NFL contract advisors, as is referred to, and agents to descend upon college campuses. They're there already. Why do you think a player on the day that they've made their announcement that they're turning pro, they already have their agents all lined up? I mean, like, that's the way it goes. And some players already have, like, their parents or family members do that anyway. So it's fascinating to me, though, Michael Smith of Brother from Another, top of the hour right here on NBC Sports on Peacock. It's fascinating to me, Michael, part of the conversation about name, image, and likeness is give Reggie his Heisman back and his records back, and give, Michigan its banners back from the Fab Five. And how I feel about the Fab Five, and I love C-Webb, and he even tweeted out, give me the keys to the locker with the banners. But I kind of have I don't have an issue with individual records being restored, and I don't have a problem with the Heisman being given back to Reggie. But if a team actually has a player on to form their championship roster because somebody got an impermissible benefit, and others at the time, with the rules being what they are, despite how now illegal they appear to be in an antitrust violation, that's the rules then, and so team records shouldn't be restored. Or banners shouldn't be restored. But I think C-Web should maybe get some pool of money for that number 4 that was in the Michigan athletics department store at the time.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. I think that's not name, image, and likeness. I think what we're talking about in a broad sense is athletes' rights, what these athletes as workers should have been and are entitled to. And there's so many parallels across broader society that we could, be here all day, connecting those dots. But yeah, it's almost like as if imagine Major League Baseball saying, performance enhancing and drugs are legal now, and somebody who abided by the rules were like, well, wait a second, how does somebody who cheated now get to benefit?
Right.
Whether it should have been considered cheating at the time is beside the point. There were plenty of people, and maybe not to the level of Reggie Bush, but plenty of people who could have, and maybe did, but just didn't get caught, could have circumvented the rules, but didn't. The only thing is, and even then, if you want to go down that slope, like how many people should we now pay out retroactively because they were not able, and I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but it's like there's no way to actually make up for the decades and the billions of dollars that these employees of the NCAA were denied because the rules were so archaic. It's really a shame that it took this long. It really is.
But it's changed forever. And it's going to really be weird for people, of our, I guess, age group, generation, however you want to put it. I know you're younger than I am, but, you've grown up your whole life thinking, college athletes don't get paid. And soon there will be a generation of people who, for whom that's the way that'll be like black and white television to a generation.
But here's the thing, man. Listen, I'm not that much younger than you. I'm 40. I'm almost 42. How old are you, Rich?
I'm 52. So you are.
All right.
I appreciate the all right. I appreciate the half-hearted all right. I appreciate that.
You're in better shape than I am. I guarantee you run a better 40 than I do.
Okay, I'll take that. I
guarantee you run a better 40 than I do. But even it certainly preceded me. One of my first term papers in high school, I remember it, was the case for collegiate athletes to get paid. So, there's a lot of us who have been living in this alternate universe. I just finished watching episode 4 of Loki, who have been operating in this Nexus event, this alternate timeline, in which collegiate athletes are treated the way for what they are, for who they really are, which is employees, which is professional athletes. They may not play at the highest level, but they're employees. So this is really just a long time coming. I would like to think for more people than maybe we realize. There are some old school people, who are like, oh, this is weird. This compromises the integrity of the game. It's like, oh, it's all just about the money. It's always been about the money, but that money has always been concentrated to the powers that be, whether it's the administrators, the coaches, the universities, the NCAA, what have you. It is just so it's so refreshing to see this happening. It really is. I couldn't be more excited for him, and I'm excited to see. I'm looking forward to the chaos. I'm looking forward to all the different aspects and all the different doors that it ends up opening, the domino effect that it has. Because I hadn't even thought about the agent aspect of it until you brought it up. And how much more is going to be revealed as time goes on. How is this going to factor into recruiting? How is it going to factor into competitive balance or imbalance and so on and so forth? It's just eventually they're just going to have to come to grips with the fact that this is a professional sport, whether they want it to be about the universities, want it to be an amateur enterprise or not. It's a professional sport, and it's a huge step, but it's a baby step nonetheless, relatively speaking.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.